ceremonies of today deepen our reverence for our departed friends and comrades. Let us renew our pledge of loyalty to our country and to its flag. Let us resolve by word and deed and emphasize the privilege and duty of patriotism. I will have the invocation.
Almighty God, giver of all victories, we thank thee for the opportunities which abide in our land, for thy guidance in the hour of peril, and thy tender love in times of need. Help us remember with reverence the valor and devotion of our departed comrades, not only those whose bodies consecrate our country's soil, but also those who sleep beyond the seas, and those others whose resting places will not be known until that last day when the deep will have given up its dead. O God, teach us to honor them by ever cherishing the ideals for which they fought. Keep us steadfast in the cause of human rights and liberties, of law and order, and true Americanism. Give us the power to see and the will to do right. Grant that the American Legion may preserve the high ideals for which our comrades died. May thy merciful blessing rest upon those they left behind. Keep us forever firm in righteousness, humble of heart, and unselfish in purpose. Amen.
And now Theo Sanders, from the 8th grade student from the Choxet Middle School, will give the Gettysburg Address.
Fourscore and 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here, have consecrated, far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus so far nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave their last full measure of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth.
morning. I just want to thank Commander Temple, the Hiram Taylor Lodge of the American Legion, first and foremost, for putting this together. They do every year. They do a great job. And God willing, they'll be with us for many more years. A little round of applause for them, please. I do want to thank our police representatives, our fire representatives, my colleagues on the board, Dave Smith, Maureen Cranston, for being here today to represent the town of Sterling. I'm sure I left somebody out. I see the scouts over there. If I did leave anybody out, forgive me. But thank you so much for being here today. I'm sorry, our state rep, I kind of take her for granted, Meg Kilcoyne. Hi, Meg. I kind of know her pretty well. She's my daughter, for those who don't know. And I better know her pretty well. But I do want to say that, I'll keep this brief, but 1776, a ragtag group of militia were put together and fought the greatest superpower in the world at that time. And they did it for 8 or more long years until they won and gained our independence and the freedoms that we relish today. 246 years later. That is what we're here for, is to honor and respect and celebrate the sacrifice of our veterans from that point till today, and hopefully going forward for as long as possible. It truly is the greatest country in the world because of them. I can only tell you that Memorial Day, to me, is probably the most important day we celebrate all year. Without Memorial Day, without the sacrifice of the veterans, I mean, there would be no Independence Day. And we don't know what the landscape in the United States of America would look like. And I don't want to know. So I really just want to thank you all, citizens of the great town of Sterling, for coming out today. I know it's been a couple of years since we've been able to assemble, but hopefully, God willing, we will forevermore. And thank you. I'll turn it over to my daughter, Megan, right now. Thank you very much.
Hi everybody, my name is Meg Kilcoyne. I am state representative for the town of Sterling, along with Representative Kim Ferguson and John Kilcoyne's daughter. And before we get into another band selection, I wanted to take this opportunity on behalf of the Sterling delegation to the state, which includes myself, Representative Ferguson, Senator Ann Govey, and Senator John Cronin, to present the town of Sterling with a proclamation from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And it reads, whereas while the nation was still recovering from the horrors of the Civil War, people in cities and towns across the country gathered to honor those Union and Confederate soldiers who had given their lives, celebrating the first Decoration Day. And whereas after World War I, the nation came together again to honor those who had fallen in the service for their country. Renamed Memorial Day, the last Monday in May, is when people remember and honor the memory of all the men and women who fought and died in all American wars and conflicts. And whereas, throughout our country's history, thousands of Massachusetts citizens have fought in wars and conflicts to defend our safety and way of life. And whereas their legacy of patriotism and dedication to country is an inspiration to all Americans, and whereas it is appropriate that all Massachusetts citizens remember the bravery of those who gave their lives so that their sacrifices serve as a reminder of the cost of our freedom. Now therefore, I, Charles D. Baker, Governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, do hereby proclaim May 30th, 2022 to be Memorial Day, and urge all citizens of the Commonwealth to take cognizance of this event and participate fittingly in its observance. Given at the Executive Chamber in Boston this day of May in the year 2022, and of the independence of the United States of America, the 245th, by His Excellency Charles D. Baker, Governor of the Commonwealth, Karen E. Polito, Lieutenant Governor of the Commonwealth, and William Francis Galvin, Secretary of the Commonwealth. God save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So on behalf of the state of Massachusetts, I'd like to present this to John Kilcoyne on behalf of the Select Board to the town of Sterling.
And I think that brings us to another band selection. speaker of the day, the representative for the 12th Worcester District, Meg Kilcoyne.
Thanks, Bob. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for coming out today. And I also will keep this brief. My dad, Selectman John Kilcoyne, I think did an excellent job at reminding us all as to why we're here and why we take this day to remember those that have given the ultimate sacrifice. I think that when thinking of what to say, it's difficult to try to put into words what it was that so many men and women gave their lives for us to enjoy this freedom and this day and being together. We haven't had a chance to celebrate like this in a long time, with the pandemic looming over our nation and the world. And so I think today is especially grateful that we're back together in person and able to fully enjoy the freedoms that this nation has given us. I think in recent months, we've also been doubly reminded of how lucky we are to live in this country as we watch the tragedy of the war unfolding in Ukraine, and how because of the men and women who were brave enough to stand on those front lines and those that were willing to give everything, we're able to live in a nation where we don't fear daily the threat of an attack upon us, and that we can focus our energy on trying to build a more perfect union. I again, in thinking of how to properly honor those that went before us, it's hard to really articulate it in a way that I felt that I was able to articulate. So I wanted to share with everybody something that I found in my own family that I think really drives home the importance of why we have to continue to remember those that have fallen. Many of us have had family members who have served. Some of us have had family members that have paid the ultimate sacrifice. But many of us will not serve. The number of those that are entering into the Army is not as high as it once was, but it is possible for us, I think, all to take time to empathize as to what it would mean to put yourself in the place of those brave men and women. And this is a letter that was from my great-grandfather. He was fought in World War I, and he was stationed in France. And we never knew this letter existed until my family found it in a local archive over in Clinton, where they're from. But he wrote to his mother, and it said the following: "Dear Mother, just a few lines to let you know I am well and hope that all the folks at home are the same. I had a little hard luck in the attack on August 4th while in action on the front lines. My wounds are no cause for worry, though. Only a piece of shrapnel hit me on the head and left leg. It isn't serious. I am now in a base hospital and expect to leave here soon. So don't worry about me. I am all right. The weather here is getting mighty cold, and we will soon be having winter. News which I suppose the Clinton folks will be glad to hear is that I met a few of the drafted men from Clinton, including Louis Miliaro. How surprised we were both to meet each other. We had a great handshake, and he told me all the news up to the time he left Clinton. He is attached to the 58th Infantry. Tell the folks at home to write, as we want nothing more than a letter from home. With love to you all, I am your loving son, Joe." So my family moved to Sterling in the 1980s, and this is where I called home for most of my life. What I think that letter encapsulates so well, and which is true for so many that served in so many families, is that so many men and women throughout our history were put in unimaginable circumstances. They saw horrors that we hopefully are fortunate enough to never even imagine. And they did so because they believed in the freedom of this nation and its worth in protecting. And the thing that sustained so many, like my great-grandfather, was the memory of what they left behind, of the hope that they may return to a community and a home, and the love that kept them from feeling the fear and loneliness that the war must have so many must have felt during the war. I think in addition to taking today to remember those that have fallen, we can also recommit ourselves to doing what we can to honor those that have fallen. We need to take time to take care of each other, to protect our homes and our community, and to make our whole nation a better place. Men and women throughout our history, whether it's the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, the Spanish-American War, the World War I, World War II, the Korean War, Vietnam, Persian Gulf, Afghanistan and Iraq, and so many conflicts that we sent men and women to all over the world. They did so to protect an idea of this country and to protect us and to protect our community. So I know for me on Memorial Day, I want to take time to both honor their memory, but remember how important it is that we do everything we can to preserve those freedoms that they died for. I hope everybody here today has a safe and blessed Memorial Day, and I'm so honored to be with you all here in my hometown of Sterling to remember all of the veterans and all of those that have sacrificed everything. And I wish you all peace and happiness. Thank you so much.
And now we'll have the band play God Bless America. Again, our nation has assembled to honor its heroic dead. 1,000 battles of land, sea, and air echo the glory of their valiant deeds. Under the quiet sod or beneath the murmuring waves, their bodies sleep in peace. When peril threatened and their country called, they left their paths of peace to spring to arms. No sorrow for the loved ones left behind could dim the purpose in their souls. No horror of field, or sea, or air could beat their courage down. They fought for us they fell. Now, with one accord and deepest reverence, we do them honor. All the world, because of what they gave, is indebted to them. Let us stand in solemn memory as we salute our heroic dead.
Ready, aim, fire! Aim, fire! Aim, fire! Appreciate it.
That concludes our program for the day. I'd make a few announcements. I'd like to thank everyone that came out, and especially the Scouts, because someday they're the ones that are going to be carrying on this tradition. Anyone that would like to come down and help with the Avenue of Flags, to pick those flags up and put them away, is more than welcome at 4 o'clock at Hillside. The Veterans Day Parade this year will be November 6th. And I think that's about it. Thank you all again for coming, and we'll see you in November. Thank you.